Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. My name is Money Mike, and today marks officially 1 month until WrestleMania 42, and there's a pretty big name that does not have a WrestleMania opponent, and that is Gunther, the man who has retired John Cena, AJ Styles, and Goldberg, for whatever reason, does not have a WrestleMania opponent. And today, I'm going to find him a WrestleMania worthy opponent so we can get the ring general on the WrestleMania card. Now, let's start with the rumored match that was supposed to take place. And the reason he does not have a WrestleMania match right now is because he was scheduled to face Rey Mysterio. Now, we do know Gunther has been feuding with Dragon Lee, and obviously the WWE planned for that to transition to Rey Mysterio, where Rey would go and save his friend Dragon Lee and stand up for him. But it is interesting to kind of think, was Rey going to be the next legend that Gunther was going to retire? Because, I mean, let's be honest here. Dominic Mysterio, I believe, is the only person who should retire his father. And I know that Dominic Mysterio is a heel right now. He is on course to face Finn Balor, who he along with the rest of the Judgment Day kicked out of the Judgment Day. I do think it would have been a very interesting story for Dominic Mysterio, for Ray, and for Gunther to kind of be bullying Rey Mysterio and threatening to retire him, and that in some form leading to a Dominic Mysterio face turn. Like, hey, like Gunther, like I'm the only one that can bully my dad around here, something to that effect, and you turn Dominic babyface. But again, I do question, was Gunther going to retire Rey Mysterio in this whole thing where Rey was going to be the next guy up for the career killer, so to speak. But with Rey Mysterio being injured, and again, this absolutely sucks for Rey Mysterio. This would be 2 years in a row where Rey would be missing WrestleMania due to an injury. So if Rey cannot make it, where do you go from there for Gunther? And I think if you follow the course with Dragon Lee, then I think you have to go to another luchador and the current and new Intercontinental Champion, Penta. Penta and Dragon Lee just had that fantastic match on Monday Night Raw. And if the whole idea is that Rey was supposed to stand up to Dragon Lee, who was getting attacked by Gunther, then I think you could easily slide Penta into that spot where he defends Dragon Lee. And again, they just had that terrific match on Raw, so it's easy for Penta to slide into that role and try to defend the honor of Dragon Lee. Now, the question would be, obviously, Penta is the new Intercontinental Champion. Do you have the Intercontinental Championship on the line in this match? Obviously, yes, it would be. But given where Gunther is, retiring John Cena, AJ Styles, Goldberg, you do have to pose the question, is the Intercontinental Championship beneath Gunther at this point? I mean, in some way, you would think, given the push that he was getting with this career killer gimmick, that he would be fighting for a world title at WrestleMania. But the world title matches are taken up already. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and you got Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes. So Gunther fighting for the Intercontinental Championship, I mean, it would be a championship match for him. So again, I pose the question, is Gunther beneath, is the Intercontinental Championship beneath Gunther at this point with what they're doing with Gunther and the career killer gimmick? And would you have Penta drop the title so quickly? That's kind of where the dilemma goes. Because do you put the title back on Gunther and just kind of hit the reset button with him being the Intercontinental Champion and go back to where he was a couple years ago, where he was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE history? Or do you have Penta win, giving Gunther a loss after all this buildup? And while we are on the subject of those superstars who need a WrestleMania match, let's talk about LA Knight. Yeah, because he currently does not have a WrestleMania opponent. Now, in a way, you could just put LA Knight and Gunther together in a match and boom, both of them get on the card, right? But does LA Knight fit the mold of someone who would defend the honor of these legends that Gunther has put down? You know, I do feel like, to me, again, when we talk about the legends, obviously Rey Mysterio is a legend with himself and a WWE Hall of Famer. And it would be easy for Rey to defend the honor of John Cena, AJ Styles. But would that work for LA Knight, who essentially right now is the odd man out when you factor in everyone else has something to do with the vision, but he don't. And there were rumors that he was maybe going to face Brock Lesnar. So obviously now Obafemi, thankfully the WWE did not overthink this, and they did give us Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar, which I am excited to see in person when I go back to WrestleMania this year. But where does LA Knight fit in? And again, I think you can make some tweaks and have LA Knight maybe not essentially defend the honor of John Cena or an AJ Styles, but you could have LA Knight just kind of be someone that Gunther can face. I mean, there's not much of a storyline you can do with these two to build up in a month, but again, it gets them both on the WrestleMania card, right? When we talk about legends, obviously there's one name that we have been waiting for to make his return to WWE this year, and that is Chris Jericho. Look, I get it, his contract is frozen in AEW, but who's to say that Jericho, Tony Khan worked out some secret deal for Jericho to get out of his contract so he could return to the WWE? Now, again, granted, we are a month away from WrestleMania, so you would need to build this up real quick. And again, for Chris Jericho, he can make anything work. So it is one of those things where he doesn't need a long build to this match. So theoretically, you could do kind of an open challenge, so to speak, where Gunther is frustrated. He doesn't have a WrestleMania opponent, and he demands one. And look, I get it. Brock Lesnar had the open challenge thing, but that's been filled. So I think we can do another open challenge. And Gunther can issue an open challenge on the night of WrestleMania, either Saturday or Sunday. And Jericho makes his grand return to the WWE at WrestleMania, whether it's Break the Walls Down or Fozzy, whatever he wants to come out to in the WWE. You could do this exactly like how Cody Rhodes made his return to the WWE a few years ago. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, what about the man who is bouncy, Javon Evans? You know, Javon Evans right now, he's kind of in this thing with Kofi Kingston. Javon Evans right now, I think would be a great opponent for Gunther. Because if you're not going to do something with Javon Evans, say like a multi-man match at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship, like a ladder match, then maybe have Javon Evans, who we did see on Monday Night Raw, kind of going to the aid of Dragon Lee, checking on him after his match against Penta, where maybe Javon Evans can stick up for Dragon Lee. And similar to Penta, it would be an easy way to slide Javon Evans right into that role that was fit for Rey Mysterio. Now, these two did face off at the Last Time Is Now tournament. And honestly, I think they had a great match. I think if they ran it back, it would be even better. I do think Javon Evans kind of standing up for his childhood heroes would kind of be a cool storyline where you have this young, up and coming wrestler who is sticking up for these legends that he's grown up watching and having to watch this bully in Gunther retire them. And for Javon to stick up for them would be kind of an amazing story to tell. Plus, you could, in a way, weave this into a New Day face turn where Kofi kind of mocks Javon Evans for trying to take down Gunther, and maybe Kofi kind of starts to come around and starts seeing a little bit of who he used to be in Javon Evans, and he sees him sticking up for these legends, and maybe that earns him the respect of Kofi Kingston, and that could lead to Kofi Xavier turning babyface, and maybe them going after Gunther. Backlash Tampa, maybe it's Kofi versus Gunther, and maybe that leads to a New Day reunion where Javon Evans gets Kofi and Woods to turn the page, turn the corner, and apologize to Big E. And we get a big, happy New Day reunion between Big E, Kofi, and Woods, all because of Javon Evans and because of this bully Gunther. So there's a lot you could do with this match with Javon Evans, and then the aftermath with maybe Kofi Kingston, the New Day. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys. Who do you want to see Gunther face at WrestleMania. Drop your comment below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, as I do produce weekly wrestling content right here on this channel. And I am going back to WrestleMania this year, where I am planning to do a lot more filming for the channel while in Las Vegas. So if you want to see what I'm up to during WrestleMania week, make sure you do subscribe. And as always, I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.